Hello everyone, and welcome to my new tutorial series, Intro to Web Development. Now, throughout this series, we are going to be learning to create some basic websites. And I'm going to go ahead and start off by explaining how we're going to be doing that. So web development is comprised of three main programming languages: HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. Now, HTML and CSS are kind of the main the main fundamental languages of web development, and then JavaScript is also very important, and it extends the capabilities in order to create the websites that we see today. So what HTML does is HTML is the language is called hypertext markup language. And what that means is it essentially allows the programmer to define the contents of a website. For example, in HTML, you define, say, I want some text that says this, and I want an image that looks like this, and I want, say, a link that comes here and has this text, and then I want a button here, or I just want a button and it has this text. And then CSS is called a cascading style sheet, and that is the styling of the website. CSS tells our website, hey, I want to move this here, move the text here, move the button there, change it to this color, make this text red, make the background here black, make the background here red, make the background here yellow, or actually I want to increase the size of this text, or I want to make it smaller. That's what CSS does. It moves things around, styles things, colors them, and positions them as accordingly. So those are the two backbone languages of web development. Now, the third language, JavaScript, is kind of for interactivity in the website. And I would recommend, before we get into the later episodes of this series, of course you can actually start this series without having watched any videos in the previous one, but once we do start getting to those later videos where we start using JavaScript to create some sort of functionality in our websites, then I would recommend checking out our my previous JavaScript for Beginners tutorial series if you do not know programming already, and or if you already do not know JavaScript programming, at least kind of brush through it and just check the various concepts to make sure you know them. So without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and get started. Now, this first section here is going to be installing our IDE, and an IDE is essentially where we write our code, and it provides us with some basic functionality like autocompletes and stuff like that. Now, if you already watched this video in the JavaScript for Beginners tutorial series, you may be able to skip a good portion of it. Towards the end, I'm going to be installing some extra things that we did not do then, but go ahead and skip to wherever you feel comfortable. So to get started, we want to open up a Google window and search up VSCode download. Now when you search that, you're looking for the website that says code.visualstudio.com, and it's usually this first one here. And then for me, I'm on Windows, but if you are on Mac or Linux, I will link 2 tutorials down in the description, and they are not by me, they're done by another YouTuber. And I might consider in the future creating my own kind of installing VS Code tutorial throughout these 3 operating systems, but for now I'm just going to link to those 2. But if you are on Windows, go ahead and just hit this installer here, and then it'll say thanks for downloading VS Code for Windows, and it will get you this setup here. I'm going to cancel this because I already have VS Code installed myself. So once you finish installing it, it'll go through a small little installer. You just hit next, 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 and then it'll create VS Code in your on your computer. And what you'll be able to do is you'll be able to come down here to your Windows bar and then search in VS Code, and it will look something like this when you open it. So once you're here at this screen, to get started, the one thing we want to do beforehand is we want to install some extensions. Now, the reason why VS Code is so powerful is because by itself it is just a text editor. But it has this little button here, which is called the extensions list, which allows us to make it more functional, to give it more features. So the first thing you want to do is click this little button here on the left and then search. You want to search for live server, and it'll be this one here, live server by Ritwick Day. And this essentially allows us to easily see a website straight from our code. And when we write some code and we save it, it'll automatically update on the live server so that it makes us develop faster, basically. And then a little miscellaneous one is if you do happen to want to see VS Code like I do, because when you install VS Code initially, it looks like dark blue, and this is kind of like a, I don't even know what kind of color this is. This is like a like a midnight green kind of color, like a midnight turquoise. If you like this color, go ahead and go to the extension store and search up material. And then it should be, click this material icon theme and then hit the green install button and then come here to where it says material theme and then do the same. And then your VS Code will look like this. It'll be this like dark turquoise color, just in case you wanted to know. And then a third little extension here that we're going to want for specifically HTML will be called auto rename tag right here. It's auto rename tag. It's only 3 stars, but it's by Jun Han. And you know, don't let this rating fool you. This is actually a pretty good extension. It's just, it cuts down on the amount of code we have to write. It just makes our life easier, basically. And I'll explain the features of this in the future. So once you install those extensions, remember, hit the green install, and then for some of them, it might say reload required. Just click that button, and what it'll do is it will just reload your window like this. Don't worry, you're all good. And once that's done, it has installed the extension. Now you can go ahead and click that to hide the menu. And we really don't need this anymore, but we'll keep this open for now, this search window. But to get started with creating our basic code, what you're going to want to do is click these file button right here, and then you can go ahead and open a folder. Now, if you click open folder, and then you are here, what you can do is just create some sort of folder wherever called like our code or whatever, and then just click that and hit select folder. And what that'll do is it'll open up the folder in Visual Studio Code. And now we can actually start writing our code. Now for this video, I'm going to be creating what's called a Hello World program for HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. And what a Hello World program is it's just the bare minimum amount of code we have to write to get something to show up, or usually the words Hello World. So to get started, go ahead and if you see this little button here, it's very small. It's a file with a plus, and it says new file. When you hover over it, click that and type in index.html and then save that. And then once you're in here, type in exclamation point. It'll say Mnet abbreviation and then hit enter, or once you type it, click it, and then it'll basically autofill with all of this. And what this is this is essentially a boilerplate code for HTML, and boilerplate just means a default like kind of code. Now normally some tutorials will literally have us write this out, and if you want, go ahead. In order to start like typing this out, you want to do an open angle bracket, exclamation point, doctype, DOCTYPE, all capitalized characters, sorry, and then space HTML, and then a closing brace. And then after that, you want to do an opening HTML and then closing, and then it'll automatically create the closing tag, which is the same thing like an HTML with a slash. And this is actually a good time for me to explain tags. So now in HTML, or really any ML language, something ML, which means markup language, there are these things called tags. And tags are the words inside of these angle brackets right here, these less than or greater than signs. Now, a tag just basically describes something. So this HTML tag describes our HTML. And then within it, inside our HTML tag, this is called a nested tag, we have a head tag. And a head tag basically holds the title and all of the random information. And then after that is the body tag. And the body tag is where we have all of our site data, like the text, the buttons, the images, everything. And remember, when I say body tag, what that means is the word body in between these angle brackets. And then when you close the tag, so you start a tag and then you close it, and everything in between is inside the tag. So to close a tag, it's the same thing. You type in body, for example, and then you put a slash before it. So this, everything inside here is the body tag. So yeah, that's the basics of tags in HTML. So remember, we create this HTML tag here, and then we want to type in a tab here, and then create a head tag. And then after the head tag, after it close it, create a body tag, and then do that. And that is the basic like structure of an HTML document. And of course, like in this one, they had meta tags and a title tag. Now these are like some meta information, which we could have. In fact, I would recommend, again, that you use the exclamation point and just don't write this out by hand, because it's much easier to do this. So this is just how you can write it out by hand. So I'm going to delete this part. And remember, we want to just create a simple hello world. So in order to actually do that, we want to go inside our body tags here, right here, and then we want to indent again. Remember, inside the body tags means everything in between the opening and closing ones, and we want to create an H1 tag, and then inside that H1 tag, we want to type in hello world. Now, once we save this, Control S to save. Remember, we installed that live server extension. Well, if it's not showing up here, which for some reason it's actually not, let me make sure that's installed, and then let me reload my window just to make sure that it's all working fine. There we go. So in this bottom right, you should have this button that says Go Live. If you click that, it will open up a new website in our browser. And notice it says Hello World. So that is a Hello World program in HTML. If you recall, it's as simple as typing an exclamation point inside our body tag. We create an H1 tag that just says Hello World. And H1 means a heading 1, which is just big text. Basically, it's big and bold, and it's just like a title, basically, or like a title for our document. Now, in order to create a joint Hello World with 3 different programming languages, HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, we're going to need to create some extra tags. Now, under this H1 here, we want to create a script tag, just like that, and then we want to put inside this script tag. So remember, inside the tag means in between the opening and then the closing script tag. Inside it, we want a console.log, and then just type in hello world. And remember, this is from our JavaScript for Beginners tutorial series. Now, what you didn't know is before we had something says script source equals, and then we had a separate file. But actually here, for now, since this is so simple, we can literally embed the script or put it inside the tag itself, and we don't actually have to create a separate file for now. And then up here in this under this title here, we want to type in a style tag, and then what we want to do is everything inside these style tags is actually CSS now, and hold up, if you use VSCode, type in style, style, and then we want to add some attributes. Now just copy this for now. Rel equals style sheet, type equals text/CSS, I believe. Let me just make sure that's correct. And it is perfectly normal as a programmer to look stuff up like this. Yep. Except, yeah, we actually probably only need, yeah, this is good. Or actually, wait. No, we don't need this. You can actually remove. So just have these style tags here. And then what we're going to do is we're going to type in H1 like this, and then we are going to create an angle bracket like this, and then we're going to have text-decoration, colon, space, underline. And then we're going to have a semicolon at the end. And if I save this, it underlines our hello world. Now, if I inspect element here and go console, you'll also notice that it types in hello world right here. And I'm going to disable these extensions to get rid of these warnings. But all that matters is this right here, hello world, and then it's underlined. So that has been the basic hello world in HTML, CSS, which is right in here, and then JavaScript, which is in here. So that has been the first episode and the introduction to our Introduction to Web Development series. If you enjoyed the video, please consider giving the video a like and thumbs up, or a thumbs up, and subscribe and hit the bell icon for notifications whenever I post new videos. If you do want to follow this tutorial series as it kind of progresses, since this is the first video, you can go ahead and check out the playlist linked in the description where I'll be uploading videos daily. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.